Hi and welcome, this is Mads and you're watching the Hydonso region, and today's episode we're going to talk about mental health and fear. Well, we're going to make Pokemon based on those two things. First out today is this little teddy bear called BEARDY, which comes from bear and candy, and the reason for that is because in 2011, when I first got the idea of this concept, I based it on Pedo Bear, or the Pedo Bear meme, which was massive at the time. But when I was going to remake it, I wanted to change its origin, though it still has some elements from it. It's more based on mental health, and this is actually its trust form, and it has another form called MISTRUST form, and it will evolve depending on how much it trusts you. And in this form, comparison to its earlier designs, it's much more cute and resembles even more a teddy bear. The remake of it wasn't too difficult. I had it pretty much in my head already, so I just executed it and it worked well. I did some few tweaking here and there, but overall very happy with how it turned out. BEARDY, trust form, the teddy Pokemon. Type, normal. Dex entry. BEARDY blindly trusts its trainer. It needs a lot of attention and it does its best to give back all the love it receives. It used to be a very popular Pokemon among children. Its habitat is in the city with humans. It has a new ability called State of Mind that I have created. State of Mind. If health goes below 50%, the Pokemon changes form, typing and stats. If the health is restored, the form will change again. This includes outside of battle. So nothing too groundbreaking, we have seen abilities like this in Pokemon before. All I've really done is to make it specific to this Pokemon line. So let's have a look at what happens to BEARDY when it turned into its MISTRUST form. Back in 2017 I played around with a pre-evolution for BEARDY that was a broken teddy bear. But the more I kind of worked on it and changed this whole line into focusing on mental health, it became a different form of BEARDY, and in return it made a lot more sense for its evolution. Around this time is also when I realized I actually had made a bear Pokemon line before in 1998, which seems to be a recurring thing that I keep rediscovering designs I created when I was way younger, which gave me the whole idea of split evolutions depending on its mental state. Originally the idea was to make it normal ghost or ghost type, but the more I developed it, the more it ended up as a dark type, because that's what its evolution will be as well. BEARDY, MISTRUST form, the teddy Pokemon. Type, dark. Dex entry. When a trainer neglects, abandons or abuses their BEARDY, it turns into the MISTRUST form. This Pokemon has become an increasing problem in the region, and BEARDY is now considered a pest. Some blame the youth for spending too much time on their phone than with their Pokemon. And of course, since this is the same Pokemon, it has the same ability and obviously also live in the city. In order to evolve BEARDY, you have two options. One, the easiest one, is to get the health below 50% and give it a rare candy, which will evolve into BEARUMA, which comes from bear and trauma. I created this drawing in my math class of this crazy looking bear, and I was like, this is cool. And over the years I tried to recreate it and want to keep the craziness of it, but obviously also some sadness into it, since I wanted to be focused on mental health. I even made a mega evolution for it, which ironically ended up being very close to its final design, but this gave me the idea of basing it on Frankenstein. BEARUMA, the traumatized Pokemon. Dark fighting type. Ability, reckless and rattled, and hidden ability, pure power. Dex entry. This Pokemon is so traumatized that it has lost its mind. It is constantly on the hunt for any attention it can get. It's illegal to own BEARUMA without a license, since it's so traumatized and difficult to train. It's considered a danger to society. But how do we evolve BEARDY in its trust form? Well, you need to make sure that you have high affection, obviously health above 50%, and you give it a rare candy, because BEARDY loves candy, it evolves into MEMBEAR. MEMBEAR comes from remember, bear, which comes from the idea that the stuffing in the stuffed animals contains all the love, all the memories of the time spent with you. Again, emphasis on how important mental health is, and the right support and the right environment can make you turn into the most beautiful version of yourself. In comparison to the rest of the bears, MEMBEAR took a little bit longer to create because it didn't really have a specific design in mind. I only wanted to be like the Chansey of this region. But when I got the idea of the stuffing could give its psychic powers, it all came together, and obviously the whole psychic theme, it just worked. And from there it was pretty straightforward. And I was thinking about referencing BEARUMA in its shiny, but I decided against it and rather made it pink, referencing more the Care Bears if anything. MEMBEAR, the peace of mind Pokemon. Normal psychic type. Ability, natural care, healer, and hidden ability, regenerator. Its habitat is in the cities with the people, and its text entry is as following. The cotton contains all the memories and all the love it received as a BEARDY. MEMBEAR is in high demand, especially among the elderly people. It's a symbol of health and mind, and are often used to help those with trauma and mental health issues. So what do you think about this whole line, my teddy bear Pokemon or the mental health Pokemon, and how they turned out? Which one is your favorite? Which one do you like the least? What do you think? Let me know in the description below. But in case you have forgotten, we are not done. No, there is more Pokemon to show off. But before we start, I want to tell you to subscribe and please like the video, because I want to do more of this and your support means a lot. Originally this was created in 2003 and was quite close to mental health as well. It was this little scared Pokemon that became more and more invisible, and eventually it was see-through and lived through other dimensions, and it gained confidence knowing that people couldn't see it, which I always liked, but it took a very different turn in this video. I really wanted to base it on something in real life, and that's when I got the idea of Paralyzed Demon Pokemon. The Pokemon you're looking at right now is Remesis. It comes from REM sleep plus paralyzation plus remis, which is lack of care or attention, neglect, and being irresponsible. I don't know if you guys have had paralyzed demons before, but there are different versions, and one of those versions are it feels like something is sitting on your chest and it feels very heavy, and a lot of people panic and because they can't move. There have actually been different depictions of this throughout the ages, of these creatures sitting on your chest. So this is what Remesis here is based on. Remesis, the Paralyzed Demon Pokemon. Ghost type. Ability static. Hidden ability intimidate. And you can also find this Pokemon in the city. Dex entry. Remesis sits on its prey while it sleeps. It absorbs their life energy, making them unable to move. So when they wake up, you can truly feed on its prey's fare. Some inexperienced trainers think Remesis are cute, and these trainers usually don't last long. In order to evolve Remesis, you need to paralyze your target 33 times. This will make it evolve into Narcissus. Its name comes from Hofnar, which is the Norwegian word for jester. It comes from Talia, which is the mask that represents muse and comedy. Paralyzation, and narcissistic. I almost cut this line completely because it took me way longer than I expected to actually end up on a design that I felt, yeah, this works. As you can see, it turns more and more away from something flesh and blood into more and more ghostly, in a different dimension like creature. The whole time though, in my mind, I was like, well, it needs to be a story in its design, and it needs to point at the camera and potentially also wave. And I wanted it to have multiple arms, but I struggled to make it look Pokemon-like and actually work, but it not be too creepy, but also its simple design made it creepy. So it was difficult to find a middle ground, but I am very pleased with the final design. Narcissus, the Paralyzed even Pokemon. Ghost Dark type. Ability Static. Hidden ability Intimidate. And habitat City. Narcissus is a very dramatic Pokemon. It loves to make a fool of its terrified prey. Its body is mostly in another dimension. There is speculation that its real body is just a mask. Some believe this to be the spirit of a corrupted great performer of the ancient past that was blamed for a crime that it never performed, and now it's taking revenge on those responsible for its death. A shiny is really cool, but references its original design, which was blue, and it looks really terrifying. Also, I want you to have a look at its stats, which is all a joke, because again, this is a very dramatic Pokemon. I felt like it was very fitting. This line turned out completely different from what I actually had in mind, but that's fun. So what do you think? Do you like it? I'm really proud of their names, Narcissus and Remesis. Great names and has so many layers to it. Probably the best names I made up so far. And here we have it, all the Pokemon in this video. Which one is your favorite and why? They are very different from each other, and I think that's great, yet they kind of share this theme of fear and the mind. There's no shame in having a hard time and asking for help. And if you are interested in more of this, I actually have a whole channel dedicated to helping people with learning differences and mental health. So you could check that out, link in the description. But back to Pokemon. Which one do you like the most and why? And for an upcoming episode, we're gonna have some bugs, the regional bugs. Some of you who have followed me on my other channel may already seen one of these lines before, but it's going to be a little bit different than last time you saw them because I have changed them a little bit. And also we're gonna have another line based on a tent and a sleeping bag. So what do you think it will be? And thank you very much for watching the video all the way through. And if you want to see more of me, you should totally check out the previous episodes. I recommend that you check out my starter Pokemon. Feel free to follow me on other social media. I even opened up a Patreon recently that you can have a look at if you want to. But the best thing you could do to help me out is to subscribe so I can make more videos for all of you. Thank you so much again for watching the video, and Mads out.